AFC Super Bowl contender wild card. Who do you think is going to make the wild card spot? I can tell you it's definitely going to be two people from one division, and I have a feeling you probably can guess. You have two people from one and one from another. So let's get it started, and let's talk about the AFC Super Bowl contenders wild card.
Hold on, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished?
So welcome back to Football Barbie, where we talk about anything and everything football. Today, I'm going to be talking about the AFC Super Bowl contenders wild card. It's before the season starts for the 2023 season, and I want to tell you why I think these teams are going to make the wild card spot. And I will put money on this once the season starts. I have a flight today. We are wearing my Eagles bikini. It's 'tis the season. I'm flying back home to Philly. Trying to knock myself out on the plane. I don't know about you. But let's get it started and talk about the first team. Now, if you watched my previous video, which I'll link down below, it is the AFC Super Bowl contender for the divisionals. However, this was my rule, and if you listening, I picked the AFC for the East, Miami to win that division. Now, it all depends, like I said, on the Germany game that Miami will play the Chiefs in Germany. I think that's going to be one of the biggest dependents on what is going to happen. So if Miami managed to win that game, I think they will have a good chance to take the AFC East divisional win. Then Buffalo will win the first wild card spot, coming in as the 5th seed. So I did pick 4 teams for the wild card. Now I do think that the first 2 for sure are going to be in it, but I did pick 2. So Buffalo Bills will be the 5th seed, like I said, if Miami does not, if Miami wins that game. If not, then I have a feeling that Buffalo could be. So it's really, really going to be really close, I feel like, between Buffalo and Miami. I think they're both going to have more divisional wins, but I think Miami will get one more point. So Buffalo Bills, they closed last season to a Lombardi Trophy with a convincing, they were so close to a Lombardi Trophy with a home loss to the Bengals in a divisional round of the playoffs. They did win the AFC East last season following a victory over divisional rival Dolphins in the wild card round of the playoffs. See, shocking. Last season, the Buffalo Bills averaged 27.7 points per game allowed and 19.1, both of which were among the best in the league. Josh Allen threw for 4,283 yards and 35 touchdowns. You also had Devin Singletary was the team's leading rusher with 819 yards, while Stephon Diggs was in the top of the receiving with 1,429. Now, luckily, they have Diggs. I know there was a talk about them possibly not having Diggs, but luckily, they will have Diggs for this season. Buffalo has been in the postseason 4 times in a row, but they've only advanced once over that span, losing to the Chiefs in 2020. The franchise made it to the Super Bowl 4 straight times from 1990 to 1993, only to lose all of them. So I'm sure if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you are dying to get to the Super Bowl. Your team, the past 4 seasons, has made it to the postseason. You have made it before to the postseason, to the Super Bowl 4 times, but yet you've still yet to win that Super Bowl, that Lombardi Trophy that everybody in football wants. During the free agency, Buffalo reached an extension with Jordan Poyer, safety, and signed OG Connor McGovern. In the draft, they originally had the 28th pick, but with trades, they managed to get to the 25th spot, choosing tight end Dalton Kincaid. So the players no longer with Buffalo are linebacker Tremaine Edmonds and RT Justin Murray. So if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, listen, don't give me slack. Like I said, pay attention to Miami. I think Miami, like we said, obviously if every player remains healthy, Miami will be able to take that AFC East win, while Buffalo will be able to then take the first seed of that. This AFC East division is going to be treacherous. It's going to be so good. Then for the next one, I have the New York Jets. I think with Aaron Rodgers, I'm really putting a lot of faith. I don't think he's going to kind of do what Tom Brady did, take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and manage to have them win the Super Bowl. However, I do think that Aaron Rodgers will be able to turn around the Jets. They have 6 primetime games this year. Not a lot they've had in previous years. So 6 primetime games, you know that whoever decides the schedule is truly going to figure everything out too. So basically, will Aaron Rodgers play a second year? He has talked about trying to play a second year. He has made notation about it. I think he will play the second year, especially if the Jets do make the playoffs, which obviously there's 3 wild card spots, and I have a feeling that they're going to do it. So Aaron Rodgers did go his first season 6-10 with the Green Bay Packers, but I think that he's going to be able to have better. I know that one of his stipulations for going to the Jets was to make sure that they have better weapons, which they were able to achieve. They do have a difficult schedule, and they were given an over-under of 9.5. However, I am definitely taking it over here with 11 wins, but I think that the Bills will win more divisional games versus them. The New York Jets ended last season with a 6-game losing streak, making them out of the playoffs. Injuries and inconsistent play at quarterback from Zach Wilson were too much for the club to overcome. New York and Buffalo split their wins last season against each other, where the Jets winning first at Prime and then losing on the road, as now they play against each other for the first Monday night game of the season, which is on September 11th. They can't make these schedules sometimes better. Literally 2 New York teams, technically Buffalo is the only true New York team, but 2 New York teams playing together against each other on September 11th. Last season, the Jets scored an average of 17.4 points per game and allowed 18.6. Breece Hall led the team in rushing with 463 yards before having his season end short with an ACL injury. Now, he was doing phenomenal. Everybody knows if he's really healthy, he's going to do really good. So he's definitely up there too for running backs, but especially for being such a younger running back. So let's see what happens. The club last made the playoffs in 2010, failing to the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. They hired Nathaniel Hackett to serve as a new offensive coordinator during the offseason. The Jets did have the 15th pick in the first round for the draft, choosing linebacker Will McDonald. During the offseason, they did lose Nathan Shepard and Sheldon Rankins in the offseason. They ranked 5th in EPA per play on defense last season, but 29th on offense. Rodgers did say it would be a disservice to the Jets, like I was saying, if he only played one season, and Coach Saleh said he'd be shocked if the star quarterback pulls a one and done. They have players like Garrett Wilson, who was the team's leading receiver with 1,103 yards, and cornerback Sauce Gardner, who were offensive and defensive rookies of the year in 2022. Rodgers does have a lot of money left on his contract that he could receive in 2024. He has 2 years and $109 million remaining in his contract, which was restructured by the Packers to facilitate the trade. Right now, only $1.2 million of the Jets cap for 2023, with $107.6 million scheduled to count against the cap in 2024. It is expected that his contract will be restructured again. So, like I said, if Aaron Rodgers is able to play smart, I truly think that he's going to have a really good chance to succeed and do really well for the Jets, pushing them to possibly one of their first playoffs in quite a very long time. So, let's see what happens with the Jets. And now let's talk about the other 2 teams. And I think it's really going to be close between these 2 teams. So I'm going to give you 2 of one. One of these people is going to get in. Ravens. Obviously, Lamar Jackson is now the highest paid quarterback coming back to the league. How can he not? I know he wanted more weapons, and they got Odell Beckham Jr. signed. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with him. So the Ravens closed out last season with a road loss to the Bengals in the wild card round. They finished second in the AFC North last season with 2 games behind the divisional winner, the Bengals. The Ravens' first game of the season is against the Texans, where they haven't played each other since 2020, but the Ravens won 4 of their last 5 meetings. In the 2022 season, Baltimore averaged 20.6 points per game while giving up 18.5. Lamar Jackson was out from week 13 and on a knee injury, but he was the team's leading rusher with 764 yards. Mark Andrews led the team in receiving yards with 847. The Ravens had made it to Super Bowl twice, defeating the Giants at Super Bowl 35 and the 49ers at Super Bowl 47. At the start of the offseason, offensive coordinator Greg Roman tendered his resignation, where the club then hired Todd Monken to take his place. In the draft, they had the 22nd overall pick, selecting wide receiver Zay Flowers. The Ravens reached extensions with running back Justice Hill and cornerback Trayvon Mullen as free agency opened. They did lose tight end Josh Oliver and OG Ben Wilson. Lamar's contract, he agreed to a 5-year, $260 million extension. Of course, he had to beat my quarterback, Jalen Hurts, who had just had the highest paid quarterback. Go figure. They now instead have Odell Beckham Jr. He signed a 1-year, $15 million contract with Baltimore. It was the largest 1-year payout to a wide receiver in their franchise history. They signed him before Lamar made up his mind about whether or not he was going to play for them again. They did it to help entice Jackson to want to play and sign. Beckham recorded a career high of 222 yards receiving against Baltimore in 2016, scoring the winning 66-yard touchdown for the Giants with 1 minute and 24 seconds remaining. DeCosta believes that Odell is the right fit for the team, and Beckham is ready to go. He has had knee issues in the past, but he has since got it fixed. Beckham has had 5 1,000-yard seasons throughout his first 6 years in the league, but he hasn't had a 600-yard season since 2019. Beckham said, "You're only good as your last game." When he lines up for the Ravens in September, it will mark his first game back in 574 days. He is known for a remarkable one-handed grab while with the New York Giants in 2014. Only 5 wide receivers in NFL history have produced over 1,000 yards after missing a full year, according to ESPN stats and info research. No wide receiver has accomplished this since Jordy Nelson 7 years ago. So I think keep a lookout for the Ravens. I think that as long as obviously Lamar Jackson, because apparently when Lamar Jackson played for them, they had a lot of yards per game, a lot of yards per carry. Once Lamar Jackson got hurt, their average for points went significantly down. So if Lamar Jackson can stay healthy, I think that they have a really good chance to win that last third wildcard spot. As for another team who I would say is on the fence as well are the Los Angeles Chargers. The AFC teams I think are just going to dominate this season. Unfortunately, I'm the NFC, being an Eagles fan, but I think the AFC teams are going to dominate. It's going to be crazy. They're going to have so many more wins than a lot of the NFC people. So talk about the Chargers. So Herbert is now on his 4th season as a quarterback, standing behind new offensive coordinator who came from the Cowboys, Kellen Moore. He hopefully will help the Chargers, whose offense ranked 13th. Their season last year came to a close with a stunning loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the wild card round after failing to hold on to a 27-0 lead. The franchise lost its only previous big game appearance in Super Bowl 29 to the 49ers. Following, the team parted ways with offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi and has since hired Dallas Cowboys' Kellen Moore to take his place. They also promoted Derek Ansley as his new defensive coordinator. In free agency, the club signed RT, right tackle, Trey Pipkins to an extension and inked a deal with linebacker Eric Kendricks from the Vikings. Last season, the Chargers scored an average of 23.4 points per game and allowed 23.1. Herbert threw for 4,739 yards with 25 touchdowns. He does have one of the best arms in the league. While Austin Eckler racked up 1,637 combined yards and was a league leader in touchdowns with 18. Phenomenal. Mike Williams was the team's leading receiver with 895 yards. So the Chargers did have the 21st overall pick in the draft, selecting Quentin Johnston, wide receiver. So if the Chargers can manage to kind of get their footing, get their shit together. I really think that the Chargers could also be in the playoffs. It really just depends. I think it's going to depend on who stays healthy. Can the Chargers get themselves together? What happens with Aaron Rodgers? What do you guys think? Who do you think is going to go to the wild card round? Any idea? Because let's talk about preseason predictions because I can't wait till the season starts. Thank you guys so much. Love y'all. Ta-ta for now.